And this is the view that meets us at the top. That is fucking incredible though. Can't believe you're actually allowed to be here. Yesterday we crossed the border from North Korea back into China, and I'm sitting in my hotel room in Dandong in China now. And actually, if you see here, to the right, over there, that's North Korea, and this is China. And already here, you can see a difference in the amount of construction, the amount of apartments that there is between the countries. After having been to North Korea for the past 6 days and having some experiences that was beyond my wildest expectation, and the visit has undoubtedly been one of the most incredible and most unforgettable experiences of my life. I feel like before I go into these videos that I made from the trip, that it's necessary to talk a bit about the why. A bit about why I decided to go to North Korea. I'm sure a lot of people, at least some people, would think it's wrong to visit a country like this. But I'm making this kind of segment before diving into the video from the first day to kind of talk a bit about the different nuances, because I think there's more to the story. I know that North Korea is a country that has a bad regime, but as I see it, there are two ways to approach a country that is as isolated and as closed down as North Korea is. One is to just let them sail in their own lake, as we would say in Danish. Let them be to themselves and figure out their own problems. The other solution, in my opinion, is to open up in a dialogue and communicate and do some exchange of cultures and open up this dialogue about the country and about the West. And in my opinion, I don't see any reason in doing choice number one, because that will not solve the problems in the country. But if you engage in the dialogue and meet with the many, many people, there are 25 million people living in this huge country. And although that we have experienced, you cannot wander around by yourself and you are with guides, you cannot take pictures of something in the country, these are still people that have normal lives. And they go about doing their daily chores, daily work, and they study. And especially at a trip like this, where we're biking around the country and actually pushing the boundaries of what has previously been possible for foreigners to do in North Korea, I think that is really opening up the country, because we were able to go out in the countryside and actually step foot on the ground and see how the real North Korea is, that is not just Pyongyang. As you will also maybe see in the video, it's not something that we have been allowed to document as much, the countryside. That is just because North Korea, they want to portray North Korea to the rest of the world as not being a developing country. I know that they probably didn't lead us through the least resourceful areas, that this was probably the more functioning areas of the country that we saw. But still, these are regular people with regular lives, working in the fields. And I hope that these videos can kind of open up and maybe talk about that there's always more to something like this than what we can show in the Western media, because our guides were also happy to talk about different kind of issues. And of course they are biased. Of course sometimes you hear some crazy things and you just have to have a filter on that. But they were very happy to talk about the political situation and imprisonment and what they want for their country. And that was really interesting to hear, because then you have the Western opinion and then you have the North Korean opinion, and then you can make up your own instead of just taking one side and make that be the reality of the situation. So yeah, that was just something I thought was necessary to share before we go into these videos. This is only a snapshot into what we experienced, of course, and I'm not an expert in this country by any means. I can just say that it was an incredible experience, and especially the cycling, as you'll also see, was out of this world, to be honest. I hope that these videos are going to be interesting, and it's a great little look into a country that not a lot of people get a look into. So yeah, enjoy. It is time. That's just crazy, absolutely crazy. We stayed the night in this city called Xinjiang, and it's just so typical for China that it's a city that you've never heard of, but there lives 9 million people. Like, it's a huge city. bigger than most European cities even. Very surreal. Now it's time. We're going to North Korea, and I think we're even flying with the infamous Kryo Airlines, which I think is the world's only one-star airline. So they are legendary for their burger on board. I don't know if we can get that, or if it's only on first class. Of course, we're not flying on that. And luckily, we all got visa for North Korea. This is it here. Instead of getting like a stamp in your passport, you just get this that you give to the staff when you arrive in North Korea, and then you won't see it again, which is kind of a shame because it's quite a good memory. This is how it looks, and I think I even have a North Korean name. I don't know what it is because I obviously don't know any Korean or North Korean. So, but they started boarding out now with quite a few people going. Actually, it's quite a surprise. Catch you in North Korea. We have arrived in North Korea now.
Not exact words, but she was like, that's why we're here.
Okay.
We have arrived in Pyongyang, and I don't know if it's hard or difficult to see at all because it's dark. We're here at Kim Il-sung Square, which is the central plaza in Pyongyang, and it's actually a place where tourists not normally allowed to go during the night, so it's quite special. And we're also just the only ones here. Our guides, they picked us up at the airport, and they seem super nice, and they're just like, don't worry too much about the regulations about the camera. First impression is that it's way more modern than I thought. Like, there's people all over the place in big modern buildings. This is a group over here just having a chat, and we're just standing around. We're the only ones. So cool. Yeah. It's 7:45. We just checked in, and in 15 minutes we're going to go for dinner, and that's about it for the program today. Tomorrow is going to be a whole day of like going around the city of Pyongyang. We're not going to cycle tomorrow, unfortunately, either, because it's a holiday here in North Korea. We're not allowed to do that because there's going to be so many people celebrating. I don't know. We'll see. That was about the first day here in North Korea. Full of excitement. Pretty crazy to be here, and everything looks so nice on the surface. But of course, you also know that it isn't like that per se. But it's very interesting to be here, and I'm very surprised about the architecture and the infrastructure of everything. It's much more fancy than I thought it would be. So I'm just gonna call it a night here, I think, and say see you tomorrow. I don't know, there's not much cycling in these videos, these 2 first days here, but I hope it's okay and still get a good impression of how it is to be here in North Korea. And you think that's interesting as well. So we'll see. Yeah, tomorrow's gonna be a big day, a good long day. Hopefully more is gonna happen than what happened today, because most of it was just travels and I wasn't allowed to film anything on the plane. Yeah, see you tomorrow. Good morning from North Korea. It is day 3 here actually. I decided to skip yesterday because we were just cruising around the city and I thought, I'll film some stuff there and then hop straight into the day where we are going to cycle. But I'm a bit in a hurry, so I am gonna pack a bit while I talk a bit here. Today is the day where we're gonna go for the long cycle. First we're gonna cycle through the city a bit, and then somewhere after lunch we're gonna cycle all the way from Pyongyang to the city of Nampo on the western coast, which is about a 30-kilometer bike ride. And I am very curious about that because until now, it has been fairly easy to just take photos, take videos everywhere. I mean, we haven't had any problems whatsoever. As you also know, the countryside is not a prominent place. I mean, it's very clear when you hear that it's not easy to live in Pyongyang, and there is a system to allocate you. So it is kind of the best that lives in the city. And that's also kind of why that Pyongyang is the place that they want to show, which makes sense when it comes from their point of view. But when that's said, I think it was an amazing experience to see the native North Koreans here. Because although all this thing is going on, there are so many people, especially yesterday because it was a public holiday. So there's just so many people in the streets. And I mean, they were just going about their daily lives. For example, we went down in the metro, and that was an amazing experience. One, because it's incredibly beautiful and one of the deepest in the world. But also because that was just where the regular North Koreans, they would go. That was a really great experience. But we also kind of visited a park where the North Koreans, especially on the holiday, they came out because they wanted to celebrate the holiday and just sit on a blanket, have barbecue. And although that they were just sitting and having fun, and they had picnics and singing, and it was a big wedding day yesterday because it was a public holiday, I felt like, okay, this is authentic. I mean, this is where they just go about the thing. But we talked about it this morning, that like a very specific example was that there was this group of North Koreans in the park that asked us to come dance with them. We thought, okay, this is cool, because we've seen people dance in the street. We were at this people's monument where there was a big dance going on because of the holiday. Which is very cool, very beautiful, but also in the grand aspect of things, a weird thing to be going on, because it was just on this square and they did it for an hour. It was high school students, but therefore it wasn't too weird that they invited us for a dance. But when we got back to the hotel this morning, we talked about one of the guys that overheard the guide say, no, don't worry, there's 2 places where we can go dancing in this park. That whole like kind of suspicious feeling of being a part of that Jim Carrey movie where everything just revolves around him in a TV show, that came a bit back to me, because although that they did go about the daily life and people took walks, and I mean there were so many people who couldn't all be staged, they were definitely kind of placed there as to invite foreigners in for a dance. That shook me a bit. But all in all, yesterday was a great day, because we were just cruising around in the bus, seeing a lot of stuff. I mean, we saw, for example, the monument of the 2 previous leaders, where a lot of people, they came and handed in flowers in celebration of the leaders. We also saw the Tower of the Yuche Idea, which is a very tall tower with a great view at the top that we weren't allowed to film. I don't know why. We also went to this crazy water park with like tons of slides. We didn't go. I had a cup of coffee instead. Because I forgot my swim trunks, which was a shame. And then, of course, we went to the big mass games yesterday, which is called the world's greatest show. Of course it's called that, but it was truly impressive and also a bit scary, because it's so many people. Like, we tried to count it out, and we thought it was like maybe 20,000 people sitting in the stands doing the whole like mosaic of different cards. That was a picture behind it. And then comes all the people dancing and doing acrobatics and gymnastics on the floor. So it's just so many people. Yeah, I mean, we were a lot of tourists as well, but also just a lot of regular North Koreans. But it was just so crazy to see something so choreographed. So perfectly done. I mean, some of them were just kids. The scary thing is they're doing this a lot. I mean, they're putting so much time into preparing these kind of events just to put on a show. I'm never gonna see anything like it again. I'm gonna finish up packing now. Then we'll get on the road in a moment of, I hope. We are here and it is time to go biking, and these are the bikes that we're gonna use. Obviously you cannot kind of rent a bike here, so we had to get some in China and get them shipped here, but they look beautiful and they'll just do the job with the Above Borders logo on it, the logo of the guy that I'm planning this with. I think they will do just fine, and we have plenty. We have a whole van full of them here, and luckily it's so hot here, so I actually ended up changing to my only pair of shorts that I'm bringing, because it's gonna be hot. I think it's about 25 degrees, much better than back home in Copenhagen, where I imagine it's about 1 or 2 degrees. We'll just get all of these out, get them adjusted to the guys in the bus, and then we'll be off for about 10 kilometers of riding in here in Pyongyang, and then 2 hours of 20 kilometers of riding in the countryside to the spa hotel where we're gonna sleep for the night. The guys over here have adjusted their bikes, the brakes, the handlebars, so we're almost ready to go. through the city. It's still damn hot. We are excited and I think it's gonna be good. I'll just take a group picture of the people. Is that okay? Yeah? You want to be in it as well? That's the Juche Tower. We were over there yesterday, and you can take an elevator all the way to the top. I think we'll go over there in a moment. After riding an hour through Pyongyang, from the outside of the city into this place, the Juche Tower, where we also were yesterday, it's time to jump in the bus with all of our bikes and go someplace outside of the city so we can get a bit out of the city, just get on the open roads and get going. So far, so very good. We are so lucky with the weather. Right now the sun is setting. It's very pretty. The sun is very close to setting, and we are ready for leg 2 of our journey to Nampur. We just got through a checkpoint up the road, so now we're ready to cycle to the city. I know that Jonas is ready, everyone's ready. Look at that sunset. I think we have about 10 kilometers ahead of us, so that's not too bad. It is actually the morning of the 3rd day in North Korea now. Yesterday we arrived at the hotel. It was super late, so we went for dinner and then we went for a swim in the spa. This is the spa hotel in North Korea. It's quite surreal. And then I just went straight to bed because I've gotten a bit of a flu now, which sucks. And you might also have noticed that a lot of these videos where I say stuff and say my thoughts about this country is where I sit in my room. And that's because I don't think it would be to my best interest to offend them by saying some of the things that I might be saying here about the country and how it's run and how people are and that kind of stuff. Yesterday's bike ride was amazing. Absolutely amazing. And I was able to just snatch a little bit of footage from it, but we weren't allowed to film from it because it was very local. But we just had this whole 6-lane highway just to bike on because there are so few cars out in the countryside. And the sun was setting in the distance and it was just an absolutely amazing experience. And I think we rode like between 10 and 15 kilometers before it got dark. And we got picked up by the bus again and then drove to this hotel another like 30 kilometers. So that was one of the best cycling experiences of my life, I'd say. It was just amazing to have that whole open road to just play on. And then the sunset and the mountains and the countryside and everything. It was just absolutely amazing. We are almost ready to go through this landscape here, and we've been riding for quite some time in the car as well just to get here through the farms here in North Korea. I mean, it's not so different from any other rural country. I mean, they're just doing their crops. So that's how it is in a lot of developing countries. They're very based on rural and agriculture. They're very cautious about what we film and what we... So I don't know how much I'll be able to capture while we ride as well. I'll hope for the best. What is going on here? Is that a violin and a trumpet and a drum? We're gonna climb all this. It's gonna be fantastic. You think we are? Think we're gonna climb all this? All of it. All of this. On a mountain bike. We'll see. But the weather is good though, and we are ready. On today's menu there has been some serious climbing. Basically, from when I talked before to now, we've just been climbing up and we still got about 2 kilometers yet to go. It's pretty nice, but it's also warm, and we just got these mountain bikes here. But it's so much fun, and the others are coming there, and then we might take a break here. And everyone's doing such a good job. It's really cool, yeah. But it's so pretty on these roads here, just climbing all the way up to the top. Great job, Jonas.
First man on the top, right?
Of course.
Third or fifth or sixth.
Yeah.
At least before Mr. Lee.
Yeah. First of all, I never thought I'd go to North Korea. Second of all, I never thought I should do a kind of a mountain stage here. It's just been climbing and climbing and climbing, and it's so much fun. But it's also quite warm, and I feel a bit sorry for the rest of the guys that I kind of got them into this. And now we're going 8 kilometers downhill. That's the reward for getting all the way to the top. But we are well refreshed and well re-refueled after a nice lunch. I'm at this little cabin over here with a nice view. We are ready to go. Gustav, you ready to go? That's the thumbs up. I'll take it. So yeah, this is my room. It's proven to be quite a difficult task to film these videos, and that's for two reasons mainly. Firstly, when we get out and bike in the countryside, it's an incredible experience, but there's also a lot of stuff that we are, basically all the stuff we're not allowed to film. For example, when we ride through a local village where we can see all the local people, we're not allowed to film or document any of that, which is really a shame because I can feel like my trigger finger really wants to press that trigger, but it's not possible. And that's really a shame because I think there's something to document there. It's riding through a whole other time. Like the people living there, at least what we saw, definitely people that they do all the manual labor. They don't have any machines. They harvest and they pack their crops manually. And if they have something machinery, it's like the oldest of tractors. It's quite crazy. It's like being 50, 60 years back in time completely. And it is a very, very poor country, that is for sure. North Korea is a developing country. The second reason is that when we get back here to the hotel, we are getting in super late from a whole day. Like yesterday, we were out from 8 in the morning to 11 in the evening. Or was it 11:30? When I got here and got to bed, and I'm burned out and I'm still kind of trying to recover from this flu, so I just have to go to bed. So it's really difficult to get a coherent story going on because it's so fixed when we can film and when we can take photos. Like when we're out biking, for example, like we stop at certain points and then we can go for film and then we can go for a photo for a couple of minutes and then we move on. Like usually while I ride, I make these videos that you have seen. I like writing and telling a story while I see things, but that's simply not possible here. So sometimes I've been able to sneak in a photo, sneak in a video, but mainly I've just been writing and enjoying it. But the scenery is absolutely amazing. But as you can hear, I'm not doing super good. So this was again quite a weird end to a video, but that's how it is right now because it's dark outside. We get in, we eat, we get back to bed, and then that day is over. So I don't have time and don't have the possibility to do any more than that. So I hope it still makes sense at some point.
This is the main part.
Yeah.
We have started out with just a tiny bit of a problem. It is that yesterday when Jonas, the guy from Above Borders that I'm arranging this with, and the tour guide on this tour, stepped out of the bus, he sprained his ankle. It's very likely that he cannot walk for the rest of this trip. Right now they are putting on some kind of cream and medicine on his foot that we have no idea what is. It's absolutely not a good start because we have a packed program today. We're both going to the DMC zone, but we're also gonna go cycling, and then we're heading back to Pyongyang today. Since I am co-arranger of this trip, I might feel like it's my duty to get this stuff going. I don't know. It's not an ideal situation. Definitely not an ideal situation. But once again, it's a beautiful day here. It's 8 o'clock, it's 20 past 8, and we are ready to go as soon as Jonas he gets his treatment on his foot. But it's a bit annoying also for Jonas that he cannot be a part of this tour as much as he wanted. Right now, we'll just wait. But we are at this very nice folklore hotel where we slept on the floor with heating underneath, which was actually surprisingly nice, despite the pillow that was hard as a rock. Of the day is just a slight walk around town, and I've seen pictures of this road. I was really looking forward to coming down and taking a specific Behind Handlebars photo right here from the top of the two statues here of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il, but it's simply not possible. It's not allowed to bike up here, which is really a shame. Because I mean, look at that view. But these statues are another thing that are really interesting about North Korea. In every city there's kind of these statues, or at least the pictures of the two previous leaders, and it's a really sacred place. And that's also about the only thing that's visible in the streets. Like, I've never been to a city where there are no commercials at all. There are no commercials. If there's lights or if there's letters, it's something about the leaders or quote that the leaders have said. It's crazy.
This side is North Korea, that side is South Korea.
We are actually in the demilitarized zone right now, and this place where they had the first amnesty talk. And actually the place you saw before with the fields and that kind of stuff, and also the people working, that's also the demilitarized zone. There's a village in there. People go in and do their crops. I had no idea. I thought it was way more like securitized. Denmark played a little role in the Korean War as well. And as the Danes know, we had a very particular ship here called Jutlandia. And actually, it was supposed to play a quite important role here. Commander-in-Chief Matthew B. Ridgway proposed that such meeting could take place on board a Danish hospital ship. And before I mentioned that it was a place where the amnesty was signed, there's no such thing. It's called an armistice. Now I learned that as well. Yeah. But this is where they signed the ceasefire. And as you can see, we're not the only ones here in this tour. We are like 8 Danes, an Italian, and 60 Chinese people. Can't believe you're actually allowed to be here. So insane. Historic place. So yeah, the line goes right through the middle, as you can see here. But that building over there, that's South Korea. We are ready for another day of biking now. It is almost 2:30, but we are ready. I think we're gonna go uphill a bit. We've been driving for like 40 minutes out into the nature here, so apparently there's gonna be waterfalls and a temple and stuff that not a lot of foreigners have seen before here in this country. And on the menu today, yeah, as I mentioned, it is a mountain stage. Apparently it's 6 kilometers to the top and then 6 kilometers downwards. And this is a guide to Ryongtong Temple. Fucking scenic spot. Guess we're going all the way to the top here. We are a couple of kilometers in now, and it's way more difficult than yesterday. It's almost all gravel, and we have some of these switchbacks here, which is kind of nice, and the beautiful colors in the mountains. It's incredible, but some of the science says that increasing with like 17%. Absolutely insane, right? Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. So it's very steep, and we are on mountain bike on gravel.
Toughness test.
The toughest test. You're absolutely right. This is not for the faint of heart, but people are doing great, and we will get to the top. It's incredibly pretty though. We reached a small peak here. After a lot of timing, but damn, it's beautiful. It is safe to say that this is probably the toughest, and I'm very early in my cycling career, I'm ever gonna cycle. We're cycling 17% of increase on gravel on mountain bikes, and this is the view that meets us at the top. That is fucking incredible though. And here are the rest of the guys. How was it, guys?
Amazing.
Amazing.
Tough though.
Tough though, yeah.
Beautiful.
ride about to go down. 17% decrease down this mountain is right this way on gravel, on mountain bikes. Let's go.
We could get lost, far away, girl. We could end up on a sandy shore. Strange places, new faces.
Take a look at these roads and these colors here. I mean, and the good thing is no traffic, no other cyclists. We haven't even seen a single person. It's just too crazy. It's too crazy to actually fathom. And just these beautiful autumn colors are just to die for. This is by far the most beautiful place I have ever biked in my life. I mean, this scenery is just stunning. Look at this, the colors, the mountains, bit of water here. This little cozy building up here. I mean, this is just to die for. Wow.
Oh, but he's taking photos. Maybe he's taken. He took pictures the wrong place.
Made it down. We all made it safely down and are now putting our bikes into the truck. That descent was probably one of the most beautiful I've ever done in my whole life, if not the most beautiful. I blown away. Right when we got to the bottom, that's where we saw some of the first people. Otherwise, we've been the only ones on the whole mountain the whole day. And that is a rare treat as a cyclist. You all know that. So just for that matter, it has been absolutely incredible. But we are gonna load our bikes into the truck now and head into Pyongyang. And that is probably gonna be the last for me today, because if I know myself right, I'm gonna forget everything about it later today. I'll check in again tomorrow and see if we're gonna go biking there. Today's video is starting by a quite stunning lake somewhere in North Korea. It's actually at a rest stop here. We are on a very long bus ride out to a place where we're gonna cycle. And in the beginning we were feeling like maybe it's too far, because they said it was gonna be 5 hours. Initially they said it was gonna be 2.5 hours out there. But there were no alternatives here. It's not like you could just change your plans on the spot. The only thing on the agenda today is drive 5 hours out to a waterfall, the national park, I guess, go for a bike ride around there, and then 5 hours back. And this is kind of the first stop on the way, and it's not too bad at all. It's incredibly pretty, but I also have to say the roads in North Korea are not super good, so it's a very, very bumpy ride. But it's all a part of the experience. But there are just so many beautiful mountains in this country. It's quite overwhelming. And we made it to the starting point of today's tour, and I mean, it's not a bad place to start a bike trip. Apparently up here is supposed to be a waterfall, and that's gonna be our first stop. And after that, who knows? Our guys said that today's route is gonna be easier than yesterday, but also more beautiful. So that is kind of the best of both worlds, really. And here our bikes are arriving as well. But I mean, just look at the colors of those trees and the mountains. That is insane. It also feels a bit colder today, which is good. Well, our guides were right. This is pretty extraordinary. And I mean, we're basically just the only ones who can start here.
Remember we met, I could tell by your smile. You hadn't been with a good girl like me in a while.
And we are off again for today's bike ride. Look at this view once again. Oh my days. I can't believe it. Yeah. After fixing some bikes, it's 2 o'clock. We got a few hours ahead of us, and full of confidence, full of good spirits. It's gonna be great.
I had control in the driver's seat, but my hands are slipping off the wheel. Now the tables have turned. Now I'm up all night. I'm picturing you acting like a fool. I'm on the other side. You're like a full moon, and I'm up all night.
After a slow and steady tour down in the valley through the fields, of course it was time to climb a bit again. And that is kind of a relief, because that's when you get up and get these kind of views here. Unbelievable. Like, our drive from Pyongyang to here was about 5 hours, and it was just through mountains all the way. It's just so beautiful to look at, especially at sunrise and sunset. And of course, if you're biking in it, this is just extraordinary. After a quite magical descent, we are done for the day. I'm done for cycling in North Korea for this time around. And it's been absolutely stunning. And I can't quite believe that we were so fortunate to be able to experience this in this country. It's the most stunning nature I've been in, I think, because it's so unspoiled. It has just been an absolute amazing experience to have this all by ourselves. Mountains all over the place and winding roads down. Wow, that is absolutely amazing. But we have quite a ride back, so we are finishing now. It's 3:45, and with a 5-hour drive back to Pyongyang. It will be 9 before we get back, and then up tomorrow morning the train back to China. So that is actually it for North Korea for now. The time here has really gone by in a flash, and I hope you also enjoyed seeing what it was like to be here on a bike tour in North Korea. First Danish bike tour here, and some of these roads I am very sure there hasn't been any foreigner on, and there definitely hasn't been any foreigners stepping their feet on the ground, because that is very rarely possible. So I hope it was a fun look into this, and some different nuances about North Korea than what you guys might know back home. And I hope that I was able to spread some knowledge, or at least my perspective of this country.